Forgive the if you see the shirt, it's got a bunch of stains on it. Last night I ate some food and I want this video to be quick. I'd like to leave the house. I have a meeting at 11 and it's 9:30, but I gotta be somewhere beforehand and I don't really want to be there for a short amount of time. The video I did yesterday, I feel like it brought some passion back. You know, like I was able to vocalize and get through it. And I will say, I think the one thing that got me down was like the idea of the lit review. My bad. I just had this idea of the lit review in my head, and I was making it something it shouldn't. You know, that it shouldn't be, and it was getting too much attention. Honestly, too much attention mentally. That I didn't. I mean, I can see the books now. I can see how much I've still got to read. But, you know, like, I have to write, you know. I think that lack of writing for that long, that made me just different. It sapped something away, you know. And if there's something to say in this video, it would be, you know, don't take too much time off. Don't take too much time off, and don't put yourself in that position where, like I did, it's hard to get back in. You know. I mean, last night I feel like like I don't know why I feel as though my maximum words for a day is about 1,000 so far. You know, it's about as much as I can get out, depending on the story, obviously. But to me, it shouldn't be because I've had a couple of times where I've wrote like 2,000 words and stuff. I don't, you know, I don't see why it can't be more than that, and maybe hopefully I'll grow to do more than that. But you know, yesterday I'm sitting and I'm like, you know what, this third act, but the latter half of it, I was okay with the beginning, but the latter half of the third draft isn't what I want it to be. So I went back and rewrote it. About 1,000 pages, sorry, 1,000 words. About 1,000 words, and you know, I think that's another crucial part is just the willingness to go again. You know, run it back. I don't think I entirely mean start over because with that writing there was no starting over. You know, how can one start over something that they know and have done routinely? It's different, really. It's different to like scrap it all and start again. It's just a new take, a new go at it, and I mean, be willing to do it. Be willing to start over as well, but be, you know, just the readiness to do that. I think makes any good writer a good writer. You know, the fact that you can sit there and say that your work is not where it needs to be. Um, I think even now, after doing all of that, yeah, it's still not where it needs to be. But at the same time, I feel a sense of relief when I realise why I started the story in the first place. To just write a fun, cool story about a Yeti, and I've done it. At this point, I can successfully say that I've done it. It's just like the whole, you know, it being for uni and it needing to be good for an MA level. That's the reason why I keep going back to it and start drilling it in my head and trying to improve things in that context, in that light. Whereas in my head, the first draft was like, I'll never get the same. I'll never get the same with that masterpiece. You know, it's different, really different to the story. I'll never get back to that masterpiece. But I think this one's a little bit conventionally better. Um, I mean, don't put yourself in a rut. I'm sorry to myself for putting myself in a rut. You know, I could have had a better time recently. I could have had a better life, but I don't know. I chose not to because my actions chose otherwise. Um, I'm not gonna say fuck off to the lit review. You know, I'm gonna keep doing that for the dissertation, but I'm not gonna do it for this module. You know, this one small. Especially when I've got the reading material that I need, and I already have the things that have inspired us. Actually, that might be a lie. No, I don't think. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Um, so this sort of leaves me standing at 9:30 with a good story done, a good commentary planned out because I already have all my stuff, my drafts, my reading, my changes, and my process. It leaves me with a story that needs to be written. A nice third draft, but the third draft probably is the only draft so far that will be complete and will be solidified. I'm having trouble with the second part of the second act and a little bit of the third act. Um, I'm just thinking about how I can go across the third act. I think I might want to intensely show, which will take a little bit of understanding of the drug, obviously. I never take heroin in my life, obviously, thank God, but um, you know, I know people who have. I can ask, and I think I just want like a really personal, in detailed description of how one would shoot up and then hallucinate, and then he dies, and then she comes in the room, and then she says the things she says, or feels the things she feels, and then leave. No, not leaves. I think maybe has the heart to leave, and then it ends. So that'll be a little bit of a mission. The sort of intense description, you know, down to like what the heroin is in, you know, like the little foil packet basically, you know, and what you know, have the foil packet on the table with this of what I can assume, you know, the spoon, the heat source, the lighter, and the needle, um, a little rubber dingy on the arm, and somewhere to find a vein. But I wanted it to be more less conventional and like more just really like anecdotal. And that leaves me in a position where I think I have to face this story now. I have to face this Billy story, and I can write. I can write up to I think Act Two end. Act Two's ending. Still feels a little bit short. 5,000 words, by the way, not a lot. Not a lot. Um, it is a lot, but it's not a lot at the same time. It just got light. I'm glad. I'm glad the blues started to show. You know, it was sunny earlier on, and it started to be less sunny and I woke up, and now it's coming back. I don't know. Today's not quite like a deep motivational day or anything like that. It's just a simple recognition that yesterday was a good day. I'm grateful, but it took work and it took a level of focus that I had to cut things out. I just had to recognize what it was that I needed to do, and then serve that purpose. And I think I got quite a bit of work done. And I'm not trying to have it be a one-off. I'm not trying to have a one-off at all. And I'm hoping that this is the start of something great. The start of a really, really, really good March. And I'm hoping that March is maybe a month I can remember in the year that carried itself with dignity, and a lot of progress. And I do hope that. But none of that matters if I'm just dicking about. And I think the crux of all of this is that you gotta put pedal to the metal. You gotta get into it a little bit, get a little bit gruff, get a little bit serious, and also face your fears. I was shit myself for writing the story for a long time. I think that's my issue, is I'm scared to write the story. Um, I don't think it's gonna be good enough. Uh, I think I know the narrator I want though. The narrator I need, being able to go into other people's heads and sort of expand that 5,000 beyond what it actually feels like. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be what it is. That's the thing about writing. I think we have like the idea of what the story's gonna be compared to what the actual written words eventually formulate and what that makes the paragraphs and stuff look like. I think we just have an idea of like a really cool cover and a really cool title in a story that does like da. Knowing your story beats doesn't mean that you know your description of them. You could have your story beats of like a man went to the shop and a war broke out, and then people started taking things off the shelves. And you could really, really, really cock that up by just describing it in such a bad way. If you start with a man went to the shops, I'm not saying it's a bad sentence, but I don't know, you could really just cock it up, and it can look so vastly different in your mind as an idea compared to the reality of what it is. Writing is a form of well, reality, and it just is. You're going through the motions, you're writing something on paper. It's not that we're working on imagination. Eventually the words will formulate something that becomes real, and it has a look, it has a feel to it. And I think you just want to try and make that look and feel the best you have in your heart. Sometimes it doesn't come out exact, but that's okay. It just is what it is. As long as you have something out there that has a look and has a feel. Most times, I think you'll sit there and say it was better than the original idea because it went through a lot of work. Yeah, I don't know. Go right, I guess. I'm saying that to myself as well. You know what? I gotta fucking leave. Yeah, don't know. This video's nothing too deep. It's just like, here's where I was, here's where I am, here's what I gotta do. Everything will be alright. Better than alright. Everything's fine.